Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and today's video is going to be a carry tier list for patch 7.39b, and you might be wondering, where have I been for the last month? Well, you might even still hear it a little bit in my voice, but I got sick and I lost my voice for like a month, so that's why I didn't make videos. The last Blade Mail video that I posted, I actually recorded that before I got sick, so anyway, you might still hear it a little bit, don't want to digress too much, but we're back. I'm going to be making tier lists every day this week for every position, so look forward to that, and let's just jump in to the carry tier list. So the first hero in the S tier is going to be Ursa, and this is just the best pub carry in the patch right now. Some of the other heroes are good, don't get me wrong, in the S tier, but they can be more for like specialized heroes or specialized players or high MMR players or pro players. But if you want a carry that's just good in every MMR bracket right now, it's Ursa. And honestly, there's nothing crazy about Ursa. There's nothing super different. They didn't give this hero any kind of crazy new talent or crazy new buff. It's just that a lot of the other carries have been nerfed, or in the past like 6 months to a year, a lot of the carries have been weird carries, like Magnus, and even Tiny is kind of a weird carry, or like even Bristleback going carry. They just have these weird carries because the meta has shifted in such a way where the PAs, the Lifestealers, the Slarks, like they've been hanging around as good, but they haven't been like the S tier hero. And if they are, they usually get nerfed. Like we saw Lifestealer just being OP for a while, and then in like a B or a C patch, just instantly gets nerfed. So Ursa has kind of just sat there around the A, B, even S tier, and then with everything else getting nerfed, he's just kind of risen up to S tier. So this hero is by far just the best pub here right now. Also, with the change in the recent patches, putting Roche kind of closer to the middle of the map, just giving him access to Roche, even though it's harder necessarily to quote-unquote sneak, I just think the fact that you're very independent, you can go Roche pretty quickly. It's something where your teammates can help you, especially if you get map dominance. It's not like you have to go to some other side of the map, and it's not a waste of your time like it used to be in other patches and things like that. So I think that is really the big story with Ursa here. There's nothing super special to say about the hero. It's just the best carry right now. You go the typical kind of thing where you go straight into Battle Fury, you get Blink, you get BKB, you get all those kinds of things. You can even go for that meme build with the Octarine Core and stuff like that, Refresher, all those things. But yeah, nothing super new or different to say about this hero, just very solid, very good right now. Then all of these next heroes are very good, don't get me wrong, but they have their kind of specialty or niche. So we obviously have Terrorblade. This hero was getting played a lot in the off lane here or there, but now that's not really as good anymore in the recent patch. So now it's just a good carry. I think the fact that any hero like this is getting played in the off lane, but it's a carry hero, just means that it's a very good hero. And I think that's been the case for a while now. I think they focused on nerfing the off lane version of the hero, but now it's just like, okay, well, with everything else getting nerfed as well, it just actually is still a very good carry if you just focus on carry, if you just focus on farming, and then just getting super fat, getting all these items, coming out of the jungle or whatever, coming out of pushing lanes at 30 minutes, and you just have like Scotty and Daedalus and all this kind of stuff, and you just can't die. It is kind of ridiculous what they've been giving this hero over the past few years with like mini ults and all that kind of stuff. Reflection is still super busted in the laning stage and even later, so it's just a very, very good hero. It is one of those where you do have to be careful in pubs. Whenever this hero is really good, people will pick it because it's like, oh, it's great. But in pubs, you do have to be careful not to just use your meta off cooldown or like randomly, because if you don't use it at the right time and then it ends up being down and all like on cooldown, and you don't have it off cooldown ready to fight because your team is like not coordinating with you, that can be the only problem with the hero, where that's why at higher MMRs or in pro games, this hero can just be a little bit better than it actually is in pubs, because you can get super punished if you use your spells incorrectly or at the wrong time, and then you get caught out with not having your ultimate, which is actually, it's not your ultimate, but you know, it's actually your ultimate in real life, in the real kind of idea of how the game works. Meta is this hero's ultimate. So if you get caught out without that, then you can get punished very, very heavily. So just be careful with that. But otherwise, nothing super crazy or different again with this kind of hero. I think that's kind of the story with a lot of the carries that are really good right now. Is honestly, the off-lane version of this hero was worse than it was in the past patches. So it's not like this hero is super crazy giga buffed. It's just that all these other things have risen to the top, with a lot of the other things getting worse. Then next we have Bristleback. You can go with either Snot Rocket or Seeing Red. Basically, it's the same thing as it's always been. Snot Rocket is very good. Actually, more of an off-lane kind of facet where you're just controlling, minus armoring, all that kind of stuff. Seeing Red is more of the offensive carry version of the facet. But again, this is one of those where this is getting picked more in the pros because it is able to be flexed. So that is one of those where be careful in pubs. It's not like the best hero overall, even if it's really, really good in pros and they're picking it a lot. It's not like, oh, wow, I'm just going to stomp and win every time. But it is still very, very good for all the same reasons that it's been good. And seeing red, even though it was kind of not as popular because people were going for the snot rocket facet in the last 6 months or so, seeing red is still very good. Getting Ags is still insane. You can still tank up, do infinity damage, and do all those same things you've been doing for a while. It's just that because, like I said, a lot of the other carries got nerfed, this is just the one that's kind of risen to the top as still being very, very good. So if you know what you're doing, and especially if you have someone that can stack for you, that really makes this hero even better. So stacking obviously is very good, but it's not necessary. You don't have to have it because you can still snowball, crush your lane, do insane damage, get your Ags, and do all those same things with the Seeing Red facet that you've been doing on Bristleback for a while now. Then we have TA, another one that's also kind of flexed in the pros, but this hero is just very, very good overall right now. These ranged heroes are kind of coming back into the meta that are like TA, Drow, even Lena, where there's other ranged heroes like Gyro, Luna, Medusa. Those are getting a little bit worse because those were so good for so long. Those got nerfed. And these other ranged heroes, if you want a ranged hero for a carry, are kind of coming back into the meta being a little bit better. This hero, again, does a lot of the same stuff. There's nothing super crazy different about the hero. It's just that you do have to be a little bit careful into the late game because you do have ways to scale that you didn't in the past, but you still get items so quickly that if you don't kind of close out the game by 30, 40 minutes, just depending on matchups, of course, but usually the enemy will have some way to outscale you super late. So that is one thing you do need to be careful of. But if you end up getting really, really good with this hero, and it is a little bit of a specialist hero, you can dominate lanes, take over the map, farm super quickly, and then people underestimate how good the traps and the Ags and all that kind of stuff can be late game. Like you can be all over the map, you can do so much delay even if you're losing, and then if you do win fights, you will delete buildings pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind. This hero's very good right now, not just in pubs, but in general. But again, kind of like a specialist hero, similar to a Terrorblade. Like you do have to know what you're doing and be pretty good at the hero overall. And then next we have Drow. This is the last S tier hero, and I think this is more of a pub hero. So I kind of began with a pub hero in Ursa, and then we're ending with a pub hero in Drow. Even though Drow is not as good maybe at the highest MMR, even though it's not as good in pro games, it's great right now in pubs. I think you can absolutely stomp with this hero. It's a very good laner. You do have the same problems as always with being squishy. If there's like something like a Spectre in the game, or even like you're against Ursa, which is really good, that can be a problem sometimes because if they jump on you, it's the same weakness this hero has always had. But you just do so much damage that it's absolutely absurd. If you get your items, which you can, you usually have a pretty good lane with this hero, and you will just delete everything in the game. Like, honestly, it's just getting absurd how much you delete heroes with this hero. And because of the shard, because of the Ags, because of all these ways that you have to deal with positioning, if you want to buy a Shadow Blade, you can totally do that. There's a lot of things that need to be broken just in general as, you know, the meta creeps on and as everything gets more and more powerful. Having that break, if you do want to buy Shadow Blade for that extra escapability and stuff, having the shard is just amazing too. There's all these things that allow this hero to just be so good that if you get the right positioning, if you have teammates that are going in, initiating, kind of protecting you in the front line, and you're good with kind of navigating that perfect sweet spot to get damage off but not feed, you can honestly just 1v9 games with this hero. So even though, like I said, it's not at the tippy top MMR or even pro games, it's maybe not the best, it is just very, very good, especially compared to a lot of the other things that are viable in the carry role right now. I think Drow is up there. I think it definitely does deserve to be up there. And the win rate and pick rate are pretty good as well. So that's why it's in the S tier now. Then moving on to A tier, we have Sven. And I'm not a huge fan of Sven in pubs because I do feel like this hero can fall off. Like, you do farm extremely quickly. You can farm those ancients near your lane. You can do all of the things that one of these big time farming heroes usually does, but you can be matchup dependent. You can have bad lanes sometimes, or you get kicked out and have to jungle, which doesn't feel great, especially if obviously your support doesn't know what they're doing and they have a very aggressive offlaner. But hopefully you can get a good lane, you can push out the lane and then farm super quickly and just end the game. Also, going for like that Superman build is also now more viable, which back in the day, there was like 3-4 years ago when they first introduced the Dispel and the flying in with the shard and the Ags. That was very good. Then they nerfed it. And I kind of was wondering why people just went away from it completely, because I think it is still not that bad. And now we finally see that coming back where you can use that, you can delete people, but you do have to be careful. If you're not farming super quickly and if you do fall off, it's sort of like a TA where you kind of need to end the game at 30 to 40 minutes. So the lower MMR you go, the less likely that's going to happen. And so you do need to be careful. That is one of those things where you can get kind of caught in this situation where it's 50, 60 minutes and you're having trouble. You can also get caught like a Terrorblade. If you don't have your ult, you don't really do anything. So you do need to be careful. There is some skill there as well. Then Anti-Mage, good for all the same reasons that Anti-Mage has been good for a while. There's nothing super new to say about this hero. I would say you still want to be going for the Battle Fury build. In the last 6 months or year or so, people have been trying to, go for other item builds. It's not that that's not viable. If you wanted to do that, I would almost like pick this hero mid, like you can kind of do that, but I just wouldn't go for Vanguard. I wouldn't go for Diffusal. I wouldn't go for any of these other things. I would just go for Battle Fury, do the normal stuff, show up, try to blow up one of these heroes like a Storm Spirit or any of these other heroes from the mid lane or whatever. You can still do all those same kinds of things. I think it's just kind of a very, very good hero with a lot of these other like traditional carries being nerfed. If you want a traditional Battle Fury buyer, you can go for Ursa first, and then if it's not available, you can totally go for Anti-Mage. Then we have Abbidon, just a good solid carry. It was a good solid carry in the last few patches. Actually, like I think a couple patches ago, it was broken when it first came out, and then they nerfed it a little bit. But then they changed it in the 7.39 patch, and I was like, look out for this hero to be very good, if not broken. And it's not necessarily broken, but it is pretty good. It is a decent, solid carry. It's not just like S tier, but I do think in pubs it can be S tier because like you have all these like weird awkward heroes, and if you don't want to pick one of these, you know what I mean, specialist kind of awkward heroes, and Ursa's not available, you can totally pick Abbidon and be very, very good with it. Super tanky, annoying to deal with, going for the Radiance, going for all those things that the typical Abbidon build has, and be super, super annoying. And with like AA and other stuff like that getting nerfed and not being as popular as in the past, it does make Abbidon even better. But you are going for still like a pseudo carry. Like you don't burst as much as Sven. You don't do as much burst as Ursa. You're not deleting people like Drow. So you are tanky, you are frontlining, you are being a little bit different where you're kind of relying on mid and off lane to carry you. So it is a little bit matchup dependent. So just be wary of that. I know that you're going to be picking second phase and that's not really something you can think about, but that is kind of the weakness of the hero and kind of has always been the weakness of the hero. Then I think Spectre is just a great pub hero. This hero was like S tier a few patches ago. Then they made it universal, kind of like changed it a little bit, made it not as good, but then people were like, actually Spectre is still very, very good. And so in pubs, I think this hero is just broken because you don't farm quickly, but the lower MMR you go, the longer games are going to go, the more you can just get to that perfect timing where you have your Bloodthorn and you have all the items that you need to just haunt in, delete people, step out, and then get your Ags and then haunt everybody. And it's just like crazy. It's just absolutely absurd what you can do with this hero. And really the weakness of the hero is for the first 20-25 minutes, you're participating in ganks, but if your team loses so hard that there's nothing to gank, that's the problem. You can't participate, you don't snowball with those things, and that's the issue. But in pubs, that's not always that big of a deal because you will eventually get to your items if you just don't feed and you just kind of put yourself on the right positions in the map. Then we have two ranged carries. I think Weaver's very good right now. It's just a good lane dominating hero. It can delete heroes in a similar fashion to Drow. I think the Shard is a little bit underrated. It's kind of insane. You can go for the Maelstrom build, which is good in certain situations, but I actually really like Desolator and combining that with the Shard and just going for like an insane right click with Desolator and with Daedalus, just absolutely deleting people. And then once you get to that later portion of the game, if you have your Sakuchi into the guy, you have your Geminate attack, and you get like 3 plus the 1 with your Sakuchi from the Shard, you literally just one-shot everyone in the game. Now, you do have to be careful. You are pretty squishy in those situations, but you can even buy Satanic and stuff like that. So I think this hero is very, very good and kind of been on the upswing in the recent year or so. So look out for Weaver. Very stable, very good ranged hero if you want to pick that. And then Lena is also kind of on the upswing as well, coming back as a carry, where this hero was like a mid hero for a while, where it was just deleting people with the Ags and the magic damage. That kind of went away 6 months ago or so with the patch, but then they sort of made this hero a little bit better because they absolutely deleted it. And now it's going back to that right-click version of Lena. Even though you don't really want to get Maelstrom, you can still get that and you can still upgrade that, even though obviously in the past having Maelstrom upgrade into Gleipnir was super good and that really made the hero great. Even though you don't have that for like the setup for your stun, you could still even get Gleipnir. It's just not really super carry focused in an item, so that's kind of the weird awkward position of the hero, but you can still do what you want to do with this hero with the right clicks and combine that with the magic damage and just be very, very good as a ranged right-click, like lane dominating, deleting people as well. I just think that, in my personal opinion, I do like Lena. It's one of my favorite heroes, but I think Weaver and Drow are a little bit better in terms of ranged heroes, but this hero is still very, very good and pretty solid. Then we have two like tanky, kind of not awkward, but they're not actually carries. They're just kind of like offlaner-ish carries, and that is Doom and Kunka. And I'm kind of going to lump them together because these two heroes are good as carries, I think, more in pro games, high MMR games, when they can have a mid carry or an offlane carry. But with the way the meta is developing over the past few years, there are going to be more carries in your offlane and in your mid. So the lower MMR you go, it might not be that bad to get a Doom or a Kunka as a carry because you don't really want 3 farming carries. And if you know that people at your MMR are picking like, you know, Wraith King offlane all the time and all that kind of stuff, like you can totally pick one of these and get away with it and have a lot of impact. I would say Doom, it's just very good because people are selling, like buying Midas and then selling it later for a very good, like whatever it is, 85% or whatever that you get the return on that, which is very good. You can also go for Blade Mail Radiance on both of these heroes, which is great. And that's, I think, also the reason why Kunka is kind of able to be played as a carry, because if you play this hero as an offlaner, going for Blade Mail Radiance feels very, very greedy. Going for Blade Mail Radiance from the mid lane, that's not that bad, but it still does feel a little bit greedy. But going Blade Mail Radiance in a carry role feels very good. So that's why Doom and Kunka can be played carry, because Blade Mail Radiance is very good. Despite the nerfs to Radiance, it's still very, very good right now. And that's kind of why these heroes are right here. But I would say that, just to reiterate, in pubs, it might not be the best unless you have other carries that you can rely on for doing damage kind of from the mid lane, from the off lane. It's more of a pro high MMR thing, but I'm putting them here because they definitely do deserve the recognition as it currently stands. Then next we have B tier, and this has a big long list of heroes. We have Morling, kind of got nerfed, not into the ground, but it's just not as good. People were still trying to pick it, and I think there was some glitch or something that happened after the most recent patch where it was still good because of a glitch that they fixed. But it's still okay. It is a pub stomper. It's still decent. It's very annoying. It's honestly one of those things where I put it B tier right now. People are not picking it as much. The win rate has dropped off a good bit, but just watch over the next few months. It might just creep right back up, especially in high MMR or even pro pubs, right back up, because I feel like this hero just does not go away. I just feel like it doesn't go away. It is so good to just stomp pubs and so good to be a reliable, insane damage carry if you can get your farm, which you can, and you can have a very good laning stage as well, that it's just not going away. I think Tiny's the opposite. I think they're just giving it enough nerfs that it's finally going to be going away, and usually as a carry, once it goes away, once people are like, I don't really like it as much, it ends up disappearing completely. So it's still getting picked. It still has an okay-ish win and pick rate, so it's down to the B tier right now. But I think in the next few months, we might see it just fall off completely and people just stop picking it altogether. But you can still do those same kinds of things, going for the Echo Saber and stuff and deleting people, one-shotting people, hitting buildings very, you know, two-shotting range racks, that kind of stuff. But it's just not as good as it once was. And I think it's going to fall off completely in the next months as the meta develops even more. Then we have Slark, still good. Just kind of average, decent, middle-of-the-road carry. People aren't picking it as much as a carry. People are still picking the support Slark, even though that was a little bit nerfed as well. But I just don't like support Slark, even though I was memeing like a few months ago when it first came around as a thing. I don't think it's that good. I don't like it in pubs, and I just think it's a better carry overall. But then they nerfed the part of the hero that is insane and good, which is when you get the stacks, they last a long time. If you actually go back and look in the patches, as my favorite hero, I know this, I think like 3, 4, 5 years ago, whatever, when you had max stacks later on in the game, especially with the late talent, it would last, those stacks, Essence Shift would last for like 3 or 4 minutes. It was insane. Now they last for like a minute and a half. It's terrible. It's like absolutely bad, which kind of just makes me mad because I hate that that's like, the whole point of the hero is you don't actually do a lot in the beginning, but if you get these stacks up, you become like the strongest hero in the game. But now you take a fight, you do that, you have to get something done. You have to take Roche. You have to take towers. Immediately, you don't really have time to hunt for the next fight. You're not going to have those stacks, most likely in the next fight, especially late in the game, because, you know, people's respawn timers are going to take a while. So that's the only problem. Now, it is good against buybacks because they come right back into the fight, but still, at that point, probably your spells will be down. And now they keep nerfing the shard. So I don't know. I just think it's sad to see Slark get all those nerfs, but I honestly like where it's at because I hate when it's been good for a while or when it's good, they immediately nerf it into the ground. I like the fact that it's still playable even though it's not broken. It's just right there in the middle. I kind of like that because it's obviously one of my favorite heroes, so I like when you can play that. Juggernaut, just middle of the road. Not the worst hero, not the best hero. Don't even talk to me about what the changes are with this hero. They change things about the hero that make no sense. It never makes sense, but it's just an average, decent hero. Like, you can play it, you can win. You can buy Battle Fury. I was going to say Blade Mail. No, don't buy Blade Mail. Maelstrom, you can do all the same things that Jug has been doing for a while. If you get to your items and you have good matchups, you can win games, but sometimes it feels like you just have to ult to do any damage, and then they're insanely tanky, you do no damage, and you just instantly die. So it's just honestly a matchup thing. Can you get ahead enough? But it is a very independent hero that you can carry pubs with, especially the lower MMR you go. Lifestealer, again, was an A or even an S tier hero in the past, but then got nerfed a bit, has, you know, continually been nerfed here and there little by little, and now it's just middle of the road. It still is viable. You can still go Radiance. Radiance isn't as good. You know, all these little things make the hero okay, just not great. Then Faceless Void. I'm putting Faceless Void here. I would say go for the Chronosphere. The other facet, I never liked it to begin with. I don't think it was even good back then, even though people were picking it. And then it got nerfed a bit, and now it's just completely dead, I think. I think the off-lane, like, other facet is just completely gone, and I never thought it was very good to begin with. So now you can still pick Faceless Void. I kind of put, weirdly enough, Spectre and Faceless Void in the same sort of situation where it's like, if you know what you're doing and you're good at the hero and you can find the space to get your farm, if it hits that 40-50 minute timing, you have your chrono, you have the Spectre ultimates, you will just absolutely win the game if you know what you're doing and you're good at the hero. So that kind of is Faceless Void's situation, but he can have bad laning stage. He can have trouble getting farm on the map, that kind of stuff. So it can be difficult at times. Finding good ultimates early can be somewhat difficult as well. Then we have Wraith King. This is an average carry. I don't know, it's very weird because the skeletons can still be good, right? But I see some people picking the other facet with like the crit and stuff. That can also be good, but I feel like it's super cheesy and I never really see it work. Like, I feel like the games where I see that facet win, they would have won anyway if he even picked the other one. So I don't really love that. I think the pushing facet with the skeletons is just decent. But again, that's why it's B tier, because it's just decent. So I don't really think that it's going to be switching to the other full damage, although I kind of like to see that, or I would like to see that being good, just to mix it up with the hero and not just make it all about the skeletons. But I don't think it's necessarily super viable yet. I think you pretty much have to pick the skeletons to make this hero viable. Then we have basically three heroes that I all put in the same kind of situation where we have Medusa, Gyro, and Lena. They're all those ranged heroes that like to farm stacks, like to farm ancients. They don't really do much in terms of moving around the map. Like, they're kind of slow. They just like methodically farm and get huge items, get big late game items, and then honestly like solo carry. The difference is, I think that all these heroes have kind of got nerfed. That playstyle has been nerfed a bit. That's why they're in the B tier, not up here. I would say Medusa's probably still a little bit better than these two in pubs specifically, just because Medusa's super annoying to deal with. But these three can still be very good. Like I said, with farming ancients and stuff, you just can never take that out. I think with that being there, these heroes are always going to be somewhat viable. I just think with that being there in the safe lane, these heroes are decent almost all the time, no matter what right now. But they're all right in the B tier. You can pick them, but they're not amazing like they were in the past. Then we have Muerta, kind of on the upswing. I would say the pick rate and win rate isn't like the best, but it is on the upswing, and we have Drow here, we have Weaver and Lena. I think Muerta's just kind of like discount one of those. There are certain matchups in certain games where you can absolutely stomp, but then sometimes it feels like you don't do anything, you're squishy and you just die. Where I think Drow and these other heroes have more ways to just make sure that they're not committing with the ultimate, let's say, like Muerta, in the fight. Where I think if you're like, you know, relying on this ultimate to do insane damage, terribly, it's just going to be a better version of that. So there's all those kinds of range carries, but it is on the upswing, so it is pretty good. Then we have, I would say, another range carry slash sort of meme, you know, cheese carry, which is Clinks. I personally like Clinks. I think it can be very, very good, but it's another one of those that you can get caught out and just die. And if you like feed one time in the late game, sometimes it can feel like you just lose, but you can absolutely delete people. You can gank people extremely well. You can be hard to deal with on the map, and you take towers and everything super, super quickly if you can get ahead. I do love the hero, but it is a little bit awkward, because when do you get the shard? Do you focus on farming with the shard? Do you buy Maelstrom? That's not really a huge build because you have to wait till 15 minutes. So that's what the awkward part of the hero is. Like, I liked the hero in the past when it was just all about like silencing and solo, like killing one person.
That's sort of how it's been now. And then I also liked it when it had that like Maelstrom farming, just using that strafe ability, not strafe, but the other, you know, whatever the shard is called, to just delete people. I also like that build, but they kind of combined the two and it's a little bit awkward, but it is on the upswing. It is kind of decent right now. And it is a little bit of a cheese hero. And then Meepo, just like an average. I think it's like your best quote unquote cheese hero from the carry lane right now. Like I said, Doom, Kunka, these tanky heroes, I think Meepo's sort of like that, where you're picking like this tanky carry where you're just like farming the whole map and then you have some damage on your other heroes and you maybe even end the game pretty quickly on Meepo. It is viable as a carry, also as a mid. I think it's just right there in the B tier. Then next we have C tier. Monkey King is just okay. I think you can have success with the hero, but they did kind of change the facet. I think that facet can be interesting where you're like jumping around in the ultimate. That can be kind of good. It is a little bit awkward at times. I don't know how good it actually is. It does give you that extra survivability and can be very annoying. But I think overall the hero is just a little bit worse than it was. Like I said, you still can have success, but it's not the best. Same with Troll. Every time this hero gets up into A and B, it just drops right back down. Like I said, I say this every time I make a tier list. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing it if you've watched my tier list a bunch, but this hero, you just cannot control yourself in your ultimate. It's never going to be A to S tier for a long period of time until you can do that. I think everything else about the hero is very good. Honestly, I think the hero is even borderline broken. But the fact that you can't control yourself when you press R will just mean this hero never gets up into here. I just think that's just the case. And then Alchemist is still okay. I think as they've changed this hero and took Grievel's Greed and made it a passive, it's not as much an all or nothing patch with Alchemist as it used to be. I've said that a few times now since they made that change, where it used to be Alchemist is S tier or F tier. Now this hero feels like it's either A tier or C tier. I feel like it's kind of where it is. It's kind of sitting right there in the middle. And now it's just not as good of an Alchemist patch. Then Razer, a ranged hero that is just like a little bit more awkward. You'd probably rather have any of these other ranged heroes. Same thing with Shadow Fiend. A little bit awkward. This hero is just more all about the damage, kind of just like it was a year ago when it was good. Razor's more about being an anti-carry, kind of like a Doom or a Kunka in a way, so you're not really playing full carry from the carry position, but you can do a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but it is a little bit more of that utility kind of thing, where you're just like running in, going anti-carry for one hero, just like a Doom would be, so that's why it can be a little bit awkward at times. It's just not as good at doing that as some of these other heroes as well. Then we have CK, just okay. I mean, I would even debate maybe putting it in D tier, but I think because these D tier heroes are just not nearly as good, I put CK up here. Plus, I like the hero in general. I think you can definitely stomp with it, but there are certain times where you just absolutely get, like your illusions just get deleted, you do no damage, and you get controlled a lot. Marcy can be okay. Again, I think that's another one of these like melee tanky kind of weird carries that you hope to have other carries in your game. You don't want to just be relying on solo carrying the game because you can get controlled. You can be hard to use your ultimate, but if you're able to just run rampant in the fights, you can delete everybody. Then we have Lone Druid, Broodmother, okay cheese heroes. I honestly was borderline thinking about putting Broodmother down in D tier. I think this hero that is kind of deleted. Same thing with Lone Druid, but if you do know how to play them, you can stomp pubs. So that's why this is a pub tier list. Then we have D tier. Nature's Prophet has fallen off completely. I was thinking about putting it in F tier, but people are still picking it and having some success as a carry and even like a mid and as a core in general. So you could even make an argument if you really like the hero to put it C, but they just basically deleted what the hero mainly wanted to do, and people are picking it now more as a support. So it seems like it always goes back and forth. It's really good as a support, then it goes to being a carry, then it goes back to being a support, and just back and forth and back and forth. Now it's more of a support. Like I said, people still are picking it a little bit as a carry, but it's just not as good because they obviously got rid of the big tree. They gave the heal on Sprout and stuff as more the thing that people are focusing on. Then Magnus, again, because like Medusa, Gyro, Luna, the ancient farmers, these heroes are not as good as they were before. That's kind of what Magnus was focusing on as well. They just nerfed this hero overall in little ways to just make it not as good as a carry. I still think you can play it as an off lane, as a control hero, but you're really not focusing on the right-click damage from the carry position, so that's why it's in the D tier. You could still potentially do it, similar to why like Doom and Kunka are there, but I don't think it's as good. Then Dragonite has completely fallen off. It's still getting picked a little bit, having a little bit of success, but I think especially as a carry, I just rather this hero be mid or off lane if you're going to pick it at all, and going for the frost or the poison. It's just not as good as a carry, especially since they nerfed the red facet that you pretty much just don't go that anymore at all, I think. I mean, maybe you could still do it, especially if you're picking carry, you almost have to, but it just doesn't feel good. That's why it's in the D tier. Then PA is dead. This hero is absolutely dead. Kind of makes me mad because I do really like PA. I think it's a fun hero. It is one of those heroes that it can feel really annoying to play against because it just deletes everything. But if you have the right matchups, the right lineups, and you understand how to control this hero or deal with it, it can honestly be very, very hard to win with PA in certain situations. So I understand it is a little bit of a pub stomper, but they absolutely destroyed her, and I don't really like that they did that. Nerfing the, like, numbers on the hero is fine, but I don't like that they swapped how it worked. Like, I hate when they do that when it's unnecessary, because now this hero might be dead forever. I mean, people are still kind of picking it, but it just might be dead for a very, very long time. The win rate's like 40% or something. It's just not viable. I think people are just still picking it because they were picking it the last patches and they want it to be good, but dude, it's not good. I'm sorry. Ricky, you need Battle Fury, you need Ags, you need to farm so much before you even do damage. It's just not good. Like, it kind of sucks because I like Ricky. I want this hero to be viable, but it's just, I don't think it's viable. You kind of have to get lucky. You have to go around ganking everybody and killing everyone and getting farmed that way to even get your farming items so that then you can transition to actually having a good game. But you can just get stomped in the first like 20 minutes and then it's just over. Kez, I already ranted about this hero. They murdered this hero. I'm telling you right now, obviously that last video that I did that was controversial, there was like people that disliked it, people commenting this and that, which I get it, I understand. I mean, that's kind of the point. I'm giving my opinion, I'm saying different stuff. But here's the thing. If they knew what they were doing, this hero would not be D tier. This hero would not be F tier. This hero would not be obliterated. The thing is, the hero was terrible. It came out, it was bad, they buffed it, it was good, and then they nerfed it like 6 months ago, and now it's just been bad forever, and they changed it again, and it's even worse. So like, all the people that were arguing, oh, they knew what they're doing, they know what they're doing, you're not an expert in the expert of the buffing of the, it's like, dude, there's no such thing as expert of changing Kez. This idea that there's some kind of expert is just absurd and ridiculous and laughable. And as we can see, clearly there is no expertise here because they murdered this hero. They made it even worse than it was, I feel like. So yeah, Kez is dead. And then another example, Bloodseeker. They did the same thing to Bloodseeker a couple patches ago as PA. They changed it completely up after it was broken, and now it's dead. It's dead forever. The win rate is like literally 30%. I think it's literally 30%, maybe 33% or something like that. From the carry position, it's so bad, which is just sad because I liked, yes, it was broken when it was S tier a couple patches ago, but that's fine. Nerf the numbers. Don't completely change up how it works. Now it's just dead forever. Wind Ranger, probably just better as like off lane or mid or something like that. You don't really want Wind Ranger carry where you're wasting your ultimate on one hero. That's like sort of similar to Razer, but Razer at least does a little bit more. Pudge, just not a carry right now. Sniper, again, this is just like a meme thing where you're picking Sniper as a carry. Just don't do it. It's just not good. You're just, like, just pick Drow. Like, if you're going to pick Sniper, just pick Drow. Like, why would you just not pick Drow? Naga, PL, not good. These heroes have been dead for a long time as a carry. Like, illusion heroes are not even good. You know, CK is still okay just because this hero has a stun, basically. And they also deleted what PL was good at with the Ags, which makes no sense because the hero's been bad for a long time. Again, I don't know if the patching people know what they're doing. But anyway, then Arc Warden, they also completely deleted this hero. This hero has like a 1% win rate on 0% pick rate. It's like so bad. I just feel like nobody picks this hero anymore. Then lastly, we have Good or Meme. I didn't even really see this hero as being good. I never see it in pubs. Even when you look on Dota 2 Pro Tracker and some other play, like, is this hero actually getting played as a carry? I don't know. I just saw a BSJ video where he mentioned it, and so I put it here. I'm like, is this real, or is he just baiting us? Because I don't think this is real. I don't think that Omni is doing anything different than what he did before when he had like the burst mode, like a year ago or whatever. People were picking it as like an offlane or a core or whatever and just bursting people down. It kind of does the same thing, but just worse. So am I high? Maybe leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Omni thing, but I don't think it's very good. And that, everybody, is the carry tier list for patch 7.39b. As always, guys, if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.